through the steps on how to install an Insinkerator Garbage Disposal. On the new flange that comes in the box, the first thing you want to do is loosen the 3 screws, and this is going to allow us to get to the snap ring so that we can take this apart. And now I'm just going to take a slotted screwdriver and I'm just going to remove this ring on the bottom of the flange. Once that retaining ring is off, you can take apart the flange, and now this will give us access to the top that we're going to put plumber's putty on the bottom of this flange. You're going to need plumber's putty for the bottom of this flange, and what I would always suggest is to get a stain-free plumber's putty, because you'll be able to use that on any project. Whether you have anything porous or plastic, you want to use non-staining or stain-free plumber's putty. I'm just going to take a small amount of the plumber's putty and get it warm, knead it up in my hands, and then I'm going to create a rope about a ½ an inch thick and about the size of your small finger, and we're going to push this all the way around the underside lip of the flange. With the plumber's putty on, we're just going to push it down into the sink, and you definitely want the excess to be pushed out. That way you know that you have enough, and that plumber's putty is our gasket. That's what's going to keep water from leaking. Now we're going to take the fiber gasket, this metal plate, and this bottom flange, and we're going to slide it up. And you want to make sure that you line those screws into these beveled areas. And then we're going to slide this up and hold it in place with the snap ring. If you have a helper, they should be pressing down on the top of the sink, holding that flange in place. If you don't have a helper, what you can do is take the garbage disposal, take a cloth, and put it on top of that flange, and that'll hold it in place while you put the snap ring on. So we're just going to slide this up like this and then put the snap ring in to hold it in place. Now we're just going to tighten up those 3 screws and work it evenly. You want to get it snug. Once you tighten it down, it's going to push out the excess plumber's putty, and you can just pull away the excess and wipe this clean. On the top part of the garbage disposal, there's a hose barb if you have a dishwasher. There's a plug in here. So if you have a dishwasher, we're going to knock out that plug, which we're doing here. So just take a slotted screwdriver and a hammer, and we'll just knock it out like this. And now you can just shake out that plug, or you can use a needle nose pliers and go in after it. Now from the bottom of the garbage disposal, we're going to remove our cover for the electric, and it's just held in place by 1 screw. There's going to be a cardboard shield in here, and different companies have different shapes. Make sure you keep that in there. You don't want to remove that. For this project, we're going to be using a cord to plug in rather than a direct connection, and so we're going to take a cable connector and screw it into the body of this, and then this will allow us to clamp down our cable. Now we're just going to push our cable into the bottom of the garbage disposal, and we're going to pull our wires around so that we can get to them. Once you pull your wires through, I'm just going to tighten this clamp so that we snug up that cable and hold it in place. From the garbage disposal, you're going to have 1 wire that's white and 1 that's black. Your white is neutral, the black is hot. If we were doing a direct connection, we would be pulling white and black wires, so you would connect white to white, black to black. In this application, we're using a plug, and on this plug, where we pull the wires apart on the bottom, one side is going to be ribbed and one side is smooth. The smooth side is hot and the ribbed side is neutral. If you can't tell, then if you have a polarized plug where you have one blade that's narrow, the narrow blade is your hot, and you would follow that all the way up to make sure that you have this polarized properly. We need to connect the hot wire to the black. So for this, we're using wire connectors with the metal spring inside, and I really like these when we're connecting stranded wire, because the stranded wire is actually going to wrap itself around that spring and the other wire and really make a nice connection. Now I'm just going to tuck these wires back into the body of the garbage disposal, and then I'm going to take my ground wire and I'm going to wrap this clockwise around the grounding screw and tighten it down. And now we just put our electrical cover back in place. Now we're going to connect the drain tube, and you have your choice of either an angled or straight. If you're going to one trap underneath your sink, you'd use the straight tube and you'd go to a T. In this case, the original plumber put in 2 traps. So we're going to use this drain pipe that goes at a 90, and we're going to put it in place. And this is really a nice garbage disposal because it has this rubberized piece which is going to reduce the amount of vibration and sound. So we put this in place, and then we're just going to use the snap ring and lock it on. And what I like to use is a snap ring pair of pliers, and it has little grooves that actually grab it. We're going to lift the garbage disposal onto that flange, and there's 3 small tabs on this ring that we're going to lift up, and those little tabs are going to catch the bottom of this metal, and you can see that it goes up at an angle. So we're going to slide this up, and then it's going to set into a little notch and lock in place. And now once we have it caught and it's holding itself, we're going to grab the tool and we're going to tighten it. Before I tighten the collar on the garbage disposal, this is able to rotate. So what I'm going to do is line up our plumbing. This is set up so we have a wall tube into the main drain, and now our trap, we're just going to rotate this until this lines up, and that actually looks pretty good there. We just have to put a nut on. We're going to put our slip washer on here, and we want the beveled edge facing down towards the slip joint. And so we just lower this here and tighten this down, and then we'll drop our nut here and tighten the trap on this side. Your garbage disposal is going to come with a tool, and this is a jam buster. So if this ever gets clogged, we can use this underneath the garbage disposal and free up a clog. But you also use this tool to grab on to this collar and tighten it up. Now, because we have a dishwasher, we're going to connect the drain hose from the dishwasher to the hose barb on top of the garbage disposal. So for this project, we have a trap connected to the garbage disposal, and then the other sink basket is connected to its own trap, which goes into a Y to the stub out. Everything's connected. We plugged in the unit, and we'll just turn on the water and test it. And you can see how quiet it is. Just a very nice unit.